So, hi everyone, welcome to yet another live from THiNC Institute of Design. So, it's a time where every design aspirants who were looking to join NID and NIFT kind of prestigious institution are waiting for the results to come. So, I think this time is also a time of tension. Also, means the results haven't yet published yet, so you will be in that kind of dilemma, and some of you might be really much confident in the upcoming examination, and some of you might be really confident like you will be cracking the NID prelims and getting ready for the mains examinations. So today is a special session on the upcoming NID Studio Test. So the prelims examination results are not yet published, but I think most of you, Think Institute of Design has already done a workshop session on the NID Studio Test and NIFT situation test, and we get a warm welcome from all the students who were participated in that specific workshop. And it is from that specific workshop we have knew that there are so many students eagerly waiting for the upcoming NID mains examinations. So there will be some confusion regarding how the NID mains examination will be and what can be expected in the NID Studio Test, because NID is always about the surprises. So they always try to surprise you in different ways. So they haven't yet also revealed how the NID Studio Test will be, and it is always better to hear from the NIDians itself how you can attempt these kind of examinations and what you can expect in these examinations. So here it is a privilege of hearing experience or the experience from two remarkable individuals who navigated the journey towards the NID examination and cracked the NID examination. And joining us today, we have Karthik from NID Ahmedabad and Neema from NID Assam. So both of them whom sharpened their skills from THiNC Institute of Design, both are the alumni of THiNC Institute of Design. And today we will have an exciting discussion on the NID Studio Test examinations, and we will unravel what you can expect in the NID Studio Test. So welcome Karthik and welcome Neema.
Thank you.
So it's been
Thank you.
long days we have met, and how's it going? How's NID life, Neema?
It's going great. We're having our courses right now, and jury will be in 1.5 months. So full on preparation for that and course going. That's it.
Okay, great. Karthik, what about you?
It's going very well. The courses so far have been very nice. We have our juries coming up the last of next month, so we're all planning on finishing the course and starting the preparations for the jury soon.
Okay, it's the end of the second semester, right?
It is the end of the second semester.
Okay. So I think we can get started with the very first question itself, I guess, and I think it's quite interesting also. You are right now in NID. So Karthik is in NID Ahmedabad and Neema is in NID Assam. So I would like to know what motivated you to pursue a design career, and what's the reason behind why you choose NID for your education. I think it's really important to know that. I would like to hear from your side that. I will start with Karthik.
Uh, I've always been interested in visual arts, so I heard about NID from a close friend of mine in 10th grade. And while I was interested in photography before that, but then I never knew NID existed. So my plan originally was just to take software engineering and then do something else after that. But then I heard about NID and then I talked to a few people and then I joined THiNC. And I wanted to pursue filmmaking. So I used to shoot movies with friends and I used to upload it to YouTube, and I used to do little things just out of personal interest. But then I realized that is something that I had a lot of interest in, and I realized I would actually love doing it as a career. So I wanted to be in an institution where I could make my interest into a full profession. So that is why I chose NID and design in particular.
Okay, great, Karthik. And Nima, what about you?
For me, it was after my 10th that I started considering, like, thinking of what to do after my 12th, after graduating. So I considered many options like mass communication, journalism. Everything was in the communication field. So it was only by the end of my 12th, like right before my board, actually heard of NID. I've only
Okay.
heard of NIFT before. I've never really heard of NID. So then I also found that one of my classmates, Anakha, she's in NID AP right now. She was also interested in the same field. So very randomly, one day after my examinations, I got a brochure when I was standing outside from THiNC. So we were like, okay, let's try this institute. And then we came there, we researched about NID and ended up being in NID. That's it.
Okay, nice journey. I think it's always like I think most of the students outside they haven't yet know about NID. I think you already mentioned at first you haven't heard about the NID, and I think most of the aspirants like those who wish to join a design or pursue a design career, they haven't even know about the design institutions like NID, IIT or NIFT. So is it like both of you have mentioned, or is there any other way like uh, how like in your opinion what will be the best way to know about these kind of colleges? Neema, I will start with Neema.
Uh, it's a interest in this field. It's always in whatever field it is always better to look for options, like to seriously consider that as a career option and look for colleges that offer this. So in my case also it was because I understood that I was kind of interested in communication design. I did my own research. So it's always better you do a lot of research before considering what option you want as a career. So do that, and also obviously friends and people around us. I really feel like more number of people are getting to know that there is NID, NIFT, and design
Yes.
as like a proper career option. Also, like colleges are there. Uh, People are getting aware these days.
Okay, Neema. And Karthik, what about you?
Uh, I think I I heard about NID from a friend, but then the truth is that before that I did not do proper research. When I was already interested in such things, I didn't bother to actually go out of my way to do research on finding out such colleges existed. The only thing I knew was fine arts, but then that is not actually design in a way, it's more art related. So
Okay.
after that, I heard about NIFT, IDC, and NID from a close friend of mine. And after that, I realized, okay, research is important. And then even after that, I've had my own personal experiences where people that I knew in the past, people that I were close to, I've realized that they also attempted NID at one point. But then
Okay.
I didn't even know about it until recently. So
Okay.
that happens too. And I've had a friend come up to me, an older friend come up to me a few days ago online, and then he mentioned, oh, you're in NID, congratulations. I wrote it a few years ago, but I couldn't get in. And then I never knew that person was even interested in such a thing. So it's
Okay.
very nice to see people doing their research and people, I think more people write NID every year, and it's nice to see NID spreading across the nation and it's gaining its popularity.
Yes, yes. I think
Also, the
yeah.
thing is, I feel like most of the field of study in design, many people consider it just as a hobby, like
Okay.
maybe drawing, graphic design, or they just do it out of passion.
Oh, yeah.
But in reality, it can actually be converted into a profession. And it's just that very recently the people are getting to know that there are professional coaches. So yeah,
Yes.
it
Yeah,
was the
great.
same with me also, like Karthik.
Yeah. Oh, and what about your specialization? So what are your decisions on that? I think it's on the end of the first year. So what are your Neema?
For me, I actually have a bit more of time, like only by May last. So I'm considering maybe communication design or textile and apparel design. Not sure, as
Okay.
I'm still figuring it out.
Okay, and Karthik.
Uh, I'm looking for, we have to pick by the end of next month, but I want film and video communication. And it's still a tie between taking film and video communication and exhibition design. Both are things
Okay.
I'm very interested in, but I think I'm a little more lenient towards film and video communication.
Okay. Okay. Great. Okay. So coming to our main point. So I think you are the guys who went through these kind of exams. So NID, the mains examinations. So I think the viewers will be more interested to hear that too. So I think last year you are the one who have attempted the last year's studio test examinations. So how was it? So what were the questions there for the uh, when you have attempted the studio test? So what were the questions? So I will start with Karthik.
Okay. The exam was 3.5 hours long. It started in the afternoon, and then I think it went till late afternoon. So we had four sections from what I remember, and the first one was mainly comprised of your senses. So the first question we had was audio. They played, I believe, 10 different audios, and then we had to note it down what we heard. And most are relatively simple because I remember there was a sound of water being dropped from a pot and sounds of a dog barking and a car. So most are very easy to get, but some might trick you. But then it's important that you don't get stuck on one question and then you lose time for the other questions as well. If
Yes.
if you forget something, just move on, do the rest, and then you can always come back and finish the last one.
Okay. So there is a specific time limit for each question, right, Karthik?
Yes, so we had four sections, and then depending on the section, you are allotted a particular amount of time. So I
Okay.
think it
Okay.
varied from 30 minutes to 1 hour. For the first
Okay.
one, we had, I think, one drawing question and then the sound question. The second part was mostly comprised of poster design and some drawing. So
Okay.
depending on the question, we had more time, and I think we had around 1 hour or 45 minutes for one question, which was to set again test our sensory feeling. So we were given a bag
Oh,
with an object inside it, and we couldn't see inside,
so
but
the
we
blind
were
test.
asked to a blind test. Yeah, so we were asked to put our hands inside, and we were given 5 minutes in total. So we could mess with it as much as we wanted, and then the objective is to completely understand the form. So the material, the form, whatever material is being used, if it's a rope, what knot is the rope following? If it's metal, is it steel? Is it
Okay.
another metal? Can it bend? Is it strong? So once you understand the properties, the objective is to draw it on paper and it's not about the quality of the drawing as much as it is about how much you understood what was in the
Okay.
bag.
Okay. Okay.
So
That way.
yeah.
Okay. And what about 3D modeling question? Was there any 3D modeling question?
There was one question, and then it was a lot smaller than I expected. In my mind, it was prelims was completely drawing and mains was completely model making. But then I went there and then I realized out of mains was 100 marks and the model making was I think 15 marks. It was
Okay.
a lot
Really simple.
smaller than I expected. It was a very small question, and we had two in total. So one was to we were given A3 papers, and one was to recreate a form that was already given on the question. So they gave
Okay.
us a picture already, and the objective was just to recreate it. So it was
Okay.
a abstract form of a curve, and then we had to cut the paper in a particular way and then stick it so it formed that particular angle.
Okay. Okay.
And then the secondary modeling question was taking inspiration from that form, design a trophy for a gym.
Okay. I think last year this one was much trickier, I guess. Most of the students messed with that, the 3D
A
model making,
little
I
Got the
bit,
guess.
take
yeah.
inspiration from the
Huh,
previous
yeah.
model part.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. And Neema, about you?
Uh, and also, I remember there was this question where a video, which had
Hmm.
no audio, was shown, and then we had to write about it. I don't know in how
Okay.
many words, but we had to write a passage describing what you saw and also make a poster about it.
Okay.
So then there was this another question where you were given a problem like A was bullying B, and how will you find a solution to that problem? And you have
Okay.
to visually represent it. I think they draw about it.
Drawing. Okay. Okay.
Those were the. I think that is it. Those were all the
Okay,
questions.
so basically, when we separate it out, so you can expect different kind of questions like audio round, there will be visual round, there will be drawing itself in the second phase, 3D model making.
There's also
So and also blind test. Okay. So multiple formats of exams can be expected in NID examinations. So my question is, did you expect these kind of questions?
Not really. I think most of our primary focus was onto model making. We really thought there will be a lot of material handling and model making questions. But in reality, it was just like a very minute part of it. But we did prepare for the audio, visual, and the sensory round.
Okay.
The poster making and the other question was part of the preparation of prelims. So it
Okay.
was a mix and balance of everything. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah, Karthik.
I practiced with a lot of other materials, so my focus is completely different for mains. I bought clay, I bought metal wires, I bought lots of things, and I used to practice in my room all the time.
Also used to practice making working models a lot.
Yeah,
Okay.
Models
working
that
model.
jump, hold, roll, and everything, but none of that was asked.
And
Okay.
then
So
I went there, and all we had was a paper and sellotape.
Most simplest, really basic question.
okay. So so from your experience, so like rather they are not giving much importance to material handling. There are some other topics which have much more weightage, right?
It can't really be told, I feel. Maybe in the
Uh,
next exam, they might give importance.
yes. Like NID is all about surprises.
You can't really predict what's going to be on the question paper.
Okay. Great. So another question I would like to ask, even it's something about the material handling. So even that is also part of the uh, studio test. I would like to know. So what were the kind of practicing methods you have adopted for the material handling questions? So what were your preparation modes on that, Nima?
I think paper being the most basic material, you really have to have a good understanding. A lot of practice on paper, like basic folding, bending, cutting, making 3D models and all that.
Hmm.
And also, we did explore other materials. Like Karthik told, we did use rubber band. There was metal sculpture. We used to make sculpture with metal wire. There's clay, and I don't remember using wood. But yeah, whatever material that we can find around us that can be manipulated, we use that. We never
Okay.
know. We might be given a wide range of totally unrelated materials, and maybe we will be asked to make something. So, and also, we did give a lot of importance to working models. So, we need to have this basic understanding of how a mechanism that
Okay. Yeah.
gives movement or that produces sound will work. So, we did actually do a lot of practice on that.
I think
Yeah.
when we compare the NIFT examination, that is one of the highlight of the NID examination, right? The working kind of models.
Yeah, in NIFT exams, you just given asked to make a space or maybe design a thing it's very still. There's no movement, there's no sound. But the NID means actually involves a lot, all of our senses. So it might ask you to make sound, move, jump. We don't know.
Okay.
Anything can be expected.
Okay. So what about you, Karthik? How was your material handling?
Uh, it was nice, but then I think the most important part is when NID provides you with the material, they want you to make the most out of that material. So if they
Okay.
give you paper, even if it is a very simple thing, there are 100 different things you can do with paper in itself. When I was preparing and thing for the mains test, uh, we did paper modeling. So there was this one question where we were asked to make a sphere with cuts of paper, so it would go in between and make a proper sphere. So that assignment was one that helped me a lot during the mains itself. And we also played around with clay and wire and all of those things. And all of those materials have a certain ability that only that material can do. So with
Yes.
wire, it can bend, it can do something. And if you combine that wire with clay, it becomes this sort of a puppetry or a toy. So when NID provides you with a material, they expect you to make the most out of it and they expect you to have a little fun with it. But for every material, it's also very important to know some tricks regarding it. And this one trick that saved me from finishing my model on time during NID when I was making the final model, I had about 10 minutes left. It was not enough time. And I was figuring something out quick. And during one of the thing sessions, a faculty we had, his name is Agil, uh, he told us this trick where to use tape. So just pull it out as far as you can and stick it on the table. And whenever you need it, just cut it with a cutter, pull, and use it. So in the last model, I had to paste so many different parts together. And if I were to do every individual thing from the tape, I would not have had time to finish it. But because I used that trick, I could finish it on time, and then it kind of looked very neat because of it.
So simple and powerful move, right?
Very
It's really
simple but
important to
very
know all the
powerful.
tips and tricks because time management is really crucial then. So we need to actually practice and be really familiar with all the materials. So if you feel like, okay, maybe I'm good with clay and I'll be able to manage during the exam, that's not going to happen. You need to be familiar with clay and you need to practice whatever material it is.
Okay. So I think it's really important to explore different kind of materials also, right? Because there is no such kind of specific material that can be asked. So it is better, right?
Yeah.
Okay, great, guys. So, so another questions like, so, so Karthi have mentioned one such kind of tricks. Like, so Neema, do you have any such kind of that kind of tricks? Like,
Don't really remember any. Try not to get your hands messy. When you use glue, I were not allowed to use glue. Am I right? Something was there like
We
some,
that.
were not, but I
Yeah.
saw
So
some people using it, so I'm not very sure.
uh, be very careful to read all the instructions properly. And if you're using glue, try not to get your hands messy because NID doesn't look for like very pretty stuff like decorated, whereas NIFT gives really importance to that. But the work that you do has to be really clean. And the
okay,
perfection is such a really important thing. Even if this paper has a bit of stain, that can be a bad impression. So always do your work in a really neat manner and practice it in the same way.
okay, okay. That's really important. So I would like to point out one thing. So Neem, I think already both of you have mentioned about senses. So NID always test those. I think the audio round, the visual round, the blind test. So all they designed to test your senses. So uh, do you also get such kind of feeling like they really want to test those kind of things, right?
Uh, they really, yeah, they do. See, it's not just for the examination. It's to understand how observant or aware you are about the surroundings. So,
Yes.
Karthik said we were asked to listen to like very simple sounds like pouring water from a glass or maybe horn or car or whatever. So, we normally will be able to understand what sound it is, but then there are certain sounds that we'll not be able to understand just by hearing it. We have to be observant. And this is not something just for the test. You need to observe on a day-to-day basis, not just hearing, but be it visual, be it like touch, feel, everything. So it's really important that you are aware about your surroundings. And that is what I feel NID tests. How sensitive you are to the things around you, how observant you are, how empathetic you are. That's what NID is mainly seeking from these questions. That's what I understood and felt about it.
Okay. Karthik.
I think one important thing to understand is that when you write, regardless of if it is spellings or means, don't consider it just a test. The truth is that when it comes to NID, you're just doing more of what you already did in those exams.
The
If
day
you're
daily,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
just
you're
doing
doing it
all the
daily.
time.
Right now, I'm working on a 3D model. It's much bigger than what I had to do for mains, but I have to be very neat. I have to be very precise with my cuttings. I cannot mess up. If a square goes like this, if it goes 1 centimeter off, then the entire sphere collapses.
1.2 like 2 millimeter or 0.2 centimeter. It's a big deal here.
So it's just not for a test. Don't prepare just for the test, but prepare to understand the material and prepare to get good at whatever material that you're working for, because that is something that you will have to do constantly throughout your time at NID and towards your job also.
Yes. Yeah. And one thing, the observation things like the audio round, also the visual kind of things. So it's mainly focus on the kind of, I think, the observation kind of things. So how you tackle that? So during your preparations, so have you done any kind of special methods or special studying techniques to practice those kind of, or to tackle those kind of questions, like specifically the audio round? Neema.
So for the audio round, when we were preparing for a mains and thing, as Karthik said earlier, Akhil, he's also my senior in here. He passed out. So he did play a lot of audios for us without the video, and we were asked to write down, or maybe some audios were played, and then we were asked to write down or draw what emotions we felt, also to recognize what those sounds were. That is obviously there. As you come nearer to your studio test, I would suggest that you do that. But other than that, this is not the NID mains preparation. It's not something that you can be like, I'll sit and then I'll prepare for it. The preparation is a process, continuous process that starts from the moment you wake up till the time you sleep. So, see, audio is all around you. Whenever you go out or whenever you do something, always be observant. Be cautious and listen with intention. Always sound is playing in our background, but then when we do things with an intention and be like, okay, I need it for something, I'm listening, it's different. So then you start to understand it. So it's not
Yes.
something that you can sit and practice for some 2 hours, 3 hours a day. It is a continuous process going on and on. It applies to every sensory test.
So observation is one of the key element of these
It's a
tests,
very
right?
key element. And as we near the exam, as I said before, you can do a bit of extra practice. That's it. But even that's not needed if you do it on a daily basis.
Okay. So in the mains examination, so in connection with the audio uh, questions, was there any sub questions like you need to identify the sound? Okay. And after that, like is there any connecting questions related to that, or just identifying the sounds?
It was just identifying the sound. But as I talked to some of my friends here, I heard that they answered the question in different manners. Like, for example, if for me, I answered it just with a sentence. Like, I did not describe it too much. I was like, water pouring from a glass. But then there was this friend of mine who wrote it in a very described, detailed manner. Like, he imagined some parts of it, like someone pushed the glass and the glass was falling and then water was dripping down and all that.
Okay.
So you can answer it in
Interesting.
whatever ways you want.
Okay. And what about the visual round, the video one, Karthik? I think you also had the same one, right?
Uh, yes, the visual one was we were shown a black and white clip. I think it was about 5 minutes long. And then I still don't remember where it is from. I haven't done enough research, but it was a black and white clip from maybe around the 1930s or 40s of a zoo. So it's clear that it is from a Western country. It could be the UK or America. And then it was basically a video of humans walking past, and it felt like an old advertisement for a zoo.
Okay.
And it felt like a movie, but then the question was to basically describe. We had to write a paragraph on what we saw, and then we also had to make a poster on whatever we saw. So, in my personal opinion, I wrote about it wasn't, I did not just write about what I saw, but I wrote about the meaning, the intention behind it, like animals being imprisoned and then humans standing there watching or taking joy from the imprisonment of other animals in a way. And I drew a poster that was very similar. But then I realized when I was making the movie poster that I did not know the name of the movie. I forgot completely. So I just wrote something. So I left a big empty space on top and I realized I had to do something. So I just drew a giraffe on top and I just extended its neck. So it covered that area. So whatever poster I made, it looked okay, but it did not have a name at all.
Same.
And somehow it worked out.
Okay.
I did not have a name for the movie. It was just pictures. In my poster, I tried to represent more of the emotion that was conveyed.
Okay. So is it like interpreting the video? Is it in that way?
It's also that.
Okay, okay. So the connection question was like, firstly, you need to identify or interpret the video, and in connection with that, you need to create the poster in that way, right?
Yeah.
Okay, okay. So so which component of the studio test was most challenging for you? So Karthik.
Uh, my rendering is not particularly great, and that was something I was afraid of far before the exam started, even for the prelims, because I was told that we had to do rendering for the prelims in general and not mains. So we were asked to learn the rendering of some basic materials at least. So glass, wood, steel, all of these things are simple enough to learn, but then I'm not very good at it, so I was very scared that I would mess up that question in particular. So when I did the sensory test, I could tell that the cap was steel and the bottle was plastic. I had no idea how to render plastic. I had
Okay,
zero idea. So I just drew it as neatly as I could. I drew the metal cap and I just basically drew something of a glass shape and I added some shadow underneath. And I was hoping that it would be enough because I captured all the details of the bottle. It's just that I didn't capture the look of the material. And
okay,
even that I was scared of. So I just added an arrow and wrote down plastic, metal, rope.
For every object, I wrote like a description of what the material was. He said he was
okay,
bad at he was not really great at rendering, and I am bad at rendering. So what I did was I tried to give importance to the form, and I did that with maximum detail, and I rendered a bit, and then marked everything. I don't
okay,
think it's about how good your drawing is. It's about how well you've understood, and how will you communicate what you understood.
okay. Yeah, that's a very important thing. Like,
Yeah.
yeah. So so was that a bottle, right, for the blind test? Some kind of bottles.
It was
Hmm.
from what I recall, we couldn't see it, but imagine a cough syrup bottle, and then the basically the cap, the normal cap, but then the cap had a little metal structure attached on top,
Okay,
and then on top it had like a little rope just hanging from the top.
okay,
So a cough syrup bottle with something on top. So you just have to feel it. You have to feel it completely. This bottle is simple enough to understand. But then when you get to the thread part and the details of the metal, it gets a little tricky because you have to make sure that if there is a hole in the metal that you draw it exactly. If
okay,
the rope is 2 ply, 3 ply, whatever it is, you try to capture it to the best of your attention so that they know, okay, you don't just see it as a rope, but you see it as what it actually is. How thick the rope is in comparison with the bottle cap, how soft it was, what material do you think the rope is made out of. So it's a lot more on observing and drawing, understanding what is actually there, and not really on how good you can draw what is there.
okay. Yes. So Neema, the same question. So was the same the rendering question the most challenging one, or any other question?
The answering question was sure challenging, but then the one that took me a lot of time was the question about finding solution to bullying. That
Okay,
was
okay.
it's a very I'd say it's a very silly question, but then I was kind of answer that they were trying to get.
So what was the exact
And
question?
the question, if I remember, from what I remember, is that there is A and B.
Oh,
One person is bullying the other, and the person who is bully and the person who is the bully is your friend. Was it like that?
okay,
Yeah,
Yeah.
the bully is your
And
friend.
the bully is your friend. So how will you find a solution to that?
okay.
The friend of the person who was being bullied, it was similar, but then your friend is the bully. So, and again, when I talk to my friends, the way they approach it is like really different. I don't really remember my answer, but then it was like try and make that person understand or empathy, all that. I was being the nice guy. And then there's this other friend of mine who was like, pour a bucket of water on top of your friend, or like slap him, or that kind of answers. And then there was this one that was like push him. Like really, when I think of it, the answers are all really dumb. And I was constantly thinking, what are they trying to get from you? What are the kind of answers that they want? And then in the end, I realized just give your honest answer. Don't care for just give your answer. And as it
Okay.
is, everyone did give their own answers, and we are all here.
Okay.
Don't try to
Yeah.
bring in things that are very artificial. Just be honest with your answer.
Yeah. That is also really important. So was this the drawing question or was it a write-up?
It was a drawing question, which involved a bit of text. I guess it was to represent it. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
drawing, I guess.
Okay. So, any memorable moment during your uh, like preparation time? So, anything specific, like something interesting happened during your preparation time, or in the examination hall or something? I'll start with Karthik.
Memorable. I don't really think of them. I mean, it sure was very memorable, the whole process. First
In
of
the
all,
way
it
of
was
the examination.
everything was very. But for the exam, we didn't really get much of time, so it
Yeah,
was
I think
all in
that
a
one
rush.
is really important. I think we need to
Also,
discuss that time.
it was specific to my exam hall. We didn't hear one announcement in between. For some reason, the thing is, the questions and the instructions are given to you by audio. There's a speaker in the room.
Okay.
So, one audio, for some reason, we did not hear it properly, and we didn't
Mm.
realize it, and it's time for you to start the next question. So, we were
Okay.
still working on one particular question, and the next announcement we heard was, your time has ended. We were like, we didn't even start that question.
Okay.
So towards the end, like the model making question was the last one, and by during that time, we were like we had to really rush. And
Okay.
also, it's not memorable, but then the exam was not as hard as I thought it was.
Okay.
It was pretty chill.
And
So don't
Karthik.
take too much stress, I'd say.
As she said, remember to not really stress out all that much during the exam. It's I
Chill.
think honestly the preparation was more stressful than the exam itself. When you go there and if you're confident enough in your abilities and your ideas, you will be fine. Just the most important thing, read the questions properly.
Yeah, that's very important.
Two questions that a lot of people messed up during the last means was the one she said in the bullying question, your friend is the bully and your friend is bullying somebody else. But a lot of people read that question as your friend is being bullied by somebody.
Oh, yeah.
And that is not the question. If you write answers to that, you're just writing an answer to an incorrect question and you're making a poster for an incorrect question. And then during the final model making, they wrote it in a very small manner, but uh, to take when while making the final gym trophy model, to take inspiration from the previous one was something a few people missed in general. And that is something that even I didn't see until I was halfway through the model. And what I actually did was for the previous question, there was two models. There was one model that we had to make, the one that I already mentioned. So I made one initially and then it didn't work because I made it the other way around. So I used that paper and then I put it in along with the model and I blended it together. So it made sense. And I think to the people that saw the answer, they probably just thought, oh, he made this one in one try and then he made this one and not really messed up the first one and reused it here. So it's very important
Okay.
that you pay attention to the questions. And if you don't know something, it's fine. Just do what you can. Do not waste time during the exams. don't just sit there thinking, oh, I did this, I'm done. Just keep doing
Don't think
something.
too much also. You have to think, but don't think enough to waste your time.
Just
Okay.
think something because they don't see your thoughts, they just see what's on the paper.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what about the time management, guys? I know it's really stressful during the examination hall. So are you aware
I
about
think,
the time?
yeah, they'll give us constant reminders of this question is starting and you have this much time and this will end. And also, I really think it's not just about how well you answer the question or how well you make the model. They also assess you on how well you manage the time and how you manage the stressful situation, how you react to stress.
Okay. Yeah.
Because obviously, after coming into NID, the environment is really stressful. You have to submit things on like very limited time and all that. So it's also a test for that. You're given some amount of time, and obviously these answers, the models, whatever, is possible to it's possible to complete it within that time. But how will you do that along at the same time handling your stress? That is
Yeah.
what they assess. So just don't get stressed and waste your time there. Just do everything quick, and that requires a lot of practice actually.
Karthik, what about you? The time management.
For the drawing part, except for the rendering question, I was mostly fine. Before NID or before prelims in general, I was very used to drawing with pens directly. So I kind of got used to pencils after I came to think. Before that, all I used to carry around with me was a gel pen, and I would just draw whatever I saw. So during the mains, time management for me was all right because I had enough. I could ideate fast, and then even if I ideated, if I took too much time for ideation, I could probably draw something that looked nice in a relatively low amount of time. But where I was scared I was going to mess up was the model making because I didn't do model making before and
Yeah.
I am not good enough to push out models at a very fast pace. So that's why I spend a lot of time on preparations and I would put objectives. I think towards the beginning when I was working on paper, I was just trying to make perfect squares and shapes, square maybe a trapezoid, all of those things. I was just trying to make it neatly, precisely. And then I had to figure out how flaps would be made, how to cut the flaps. Because if you don't add one flap on one side, then it does this. Then the
Okay.
model
Yeah,
looks bad.
I'm
It
doing
has
that
to
with
be very precise. It has to be very precise. And model making in general requires some more pre-calculation than drawing. Drawing, if you mess something up, erase, go over it, it's fine.
Hmm.
But if after you've cut your model, if you forget to add a flap, then you cannot do much. It takes a lot of time to go back and do that, and it will not look neat.
So
So
proper planning.
get used to time when it comes to model making. Get used to time in general. Try to do it fast, but whatever you're doing, do not freehand anything. Just use calculations because neat models are extremely important.
yeah.
Okay. Great. Okay. Then looking at the experience at Think. So how Think helped you during your studio test?
The classes for mains were actually we didn't get much time. I don't remember exactly, but it was like really less time. But I think the coaching was really good in the very limited time that we got. We covered almost all of the topics, like be it audio, visual, and model making. We also did have some basic practice during the prelims preparation itself.
Hmm.
And yeah, that did help a lot. I also think the NIFT situation test classes were
Yeah.
before.
I think yeah. It was.
So that was actually a lot of practice. We got used to materials, especially
Yes.
paper. Really help a lot. And yeah, we covered. I think we gave a little bit focus on how to make moving models, working models, and all that. And also the audio round was given importance in the last few days. Coaching was fun.
Okay. And Karthik, what about you?
Before think I used to draw just from outside. So drawing in a professional sense was not something that I had. Whatever I used to draw, it would be somebody drinking chai from a tea shop or I would sometimes go to museum and sketch out people playing there. But then when I came to think, I had this more of understanding of whatever I was drawing. And the truth is, when you have an understanding, your other drawings get better automatically. For example, in my case, it was, I think I was part of the 2 year weekend batch. I attended THiNC through 11th and 12th grade. And then towards midway of 11th grade, I think we had classes on human proportions. And once I had the proportions figured out, I could apply that to every other person that I will ever draw again. So
Okay.
once you get the basics right, especially human proportions, and then construction was not something I did previously at all. Constructions I did not know. So there was this one class in Think where we were asked to construct a bag, and then I had no idea what to do, how to draw a cuboid and put the bag inside. I was very bad at it. And then I remember Vikram sir, he was our faculty at that time. He helped me with the questions, and then from that base onwards, I could, even if you don't draw the construction lines outside, when you're drawing an object, when you're drawing a car or a bus or a house, even, you have the construction lines in your mind and they
Yeah.
just project on the paper and then you can draw on it with whatever you want to draw. So, if you have that understanding, if you see cars and houses as just cubes and cylinders, drawing in general becomes a lot simpler and then it starts looking a lot better on paper. So I think helped me with a lot of my basics in the beginning so that I could actually take that skill and expand more from that.
Okay. Great, Karthik. Okay. So I think I would like to ask Karthik specifically. You have prepared for the studio test along with your 12th. So there were board examinations. So how you tackle both of these examinations, board examination and also the studio test?
Uh, I'm not a very smart student in an academic sense. I have all right marks, but NID was actually my main focus because I was kind of confident that I could pull something off by the time boards came. So I think January 8th was the day for NID exam. And until then, most of my focus was on just the exam. And whenever pre-boards or midterms came in between, I would take a few days to do that, pass that exam, and then start on NID again. So after NID was done, I had about 2 months before the results came. So that was the time for pre-board. So that time I spent all the time working on my 12th. And I think my board exams ended 1 week after the prelims results came out. I think it came out on 16th and my
Okay.
board exams ended on 24th of March. So from that day, I was working on mains, but until then, I was just working on after the prelims and between the mains, I was just working on 12th until the board exams ended, so I could get some marks, and I did all right. And then I just went back to preparing for mains again.
Okay. Interesting. Okay. And Nima, what about like you have spent your one entire year for preparing for the NID. So was like that like was there much more pressure on you or was that cool mode?
Yeah, so after my 12th, I didn't my attempt was my first attempt because I was a bit late to understand that NID is my thing. So I did not register when I was in 12th. So I was like directly, let's go for a gap year. And then I took a gap year and then prepared. Also, we always had this pressure of performing better than the weekend batch because obviously we were senior. And also, we did like take a year gap. We were doing it full time while they were doing it along with their studies. So we were like, no, we had to get it. And initially, we thought that the competition was just in the class. But then it was later on that we realized that there are some really brilliant students who are like 100% sure of getting in from the weekend batch. So it became really more competitive. So yeah, it was pressure.
Okay, okay.
And,
I
unlike the weekend batch, the regular batch was pretty chill because we had our time. We did, we took more time to learn things. We did it by in our own pace. Also, we didn't have to worry about anything else. It was just the three exams, UCEED, NIFT, and NID for the design students. So it was chill.
okay, great. So I think it's almost time. So, guys, those who are watching the live session, so if you have any kind of doubts or queries, you can definitely type it on the comment section. So, definitely we will answer those questions also. And on the upcoming Sunday, we will have an interesting workshop session on the way. So, the link for the registration will be on the comment section. Definitely you can register on the link. And before that session, we are also planning to have some different sessions on the studio test also. So please also regularly visit and get noticed about the upcoming sessions through our Instagram page and also the YouTube channel. So I think it's almost getting to wind up. So it's almost time. So I think with that one last question, we will wind up now. So, what will be your final advice? If we are specifically pointing out, I think yeah, just 5 points. When we mainly concentrate on the NID studio test because we are mainly talking about the studio test. So when it comes to that specific point, so what will be the five major things? I think during the conversation you have mentioned about so many things like observation, like empathy, or such kind of different things we have been discussed. So considering those, so can you point out any 5 points that everyone should take care of? It can be like both of you can be a common point, but you can add on. If I'm just making it as five, definitely you can add on more. So what will be that major 5 things you need to keep it in mind while preparing or attempting the NID studio test? So Neema.
So I don't know about five, but in general, not just for NID studio test or the NIFT situation test or whatever, just in general, you have to be more observant. It helps in life a lot. Be more observant, be empathetic, and be sensitive because that is really what the exams are looking for. It's not about how good you draw or how good you write or how good your model is. It's they're trying to understand how well you understand the people, the things, the objects, everything around you. So do that on a daily basis. It's not your preparation for the exam. You make it part of your daily living. It's that. And also it's really crucial that you learn how to manage your time in a stressful. You know, if you're pretty chill, it's easy for us to manage our time. We get things done. But in a very stressful situation, when our mind is not functioning properly, you need to understand how to finish stuff on time. Also, the NID mains exam, it's not really very hard. It can be cracked. You just need to do the right kind of practice and the right kind of preparation. Just have a basic understanding of the kind of questions that will be asked and know what your weak points are. First, understand yourself. Like if you are not good at drawing, maybe the other person is not good at model making. So you focus on your drawing and the other person on the model making part. So understand what you need to improve on and work more on that. Give more time to that, but not just that. Give importance to everything. Understand every material. Make use of all. Be really observant. Maybe the question that is asked will not be something that you actually prepared for. It's maybe something that you noticed while you were traveling in as simple as that. So keep in mind all these things. You'll be able to clear it.
Great. So Karthik.
I think the mains exam that the new batch is going for, I think there is a high chance that it will be different from what we had. It is a 2 day exam, so you guys might have interviews from what I know. I'm not very sure, but it is a 2 day exam. So just as well as you prepare with materials, at the same time, make sure you're also good at teamwork because they might put you in a team and ask you to figure something out together. And at NID, teamwork is a very important thing. You do lots of courses where you work with teams of 5 people, 6 people, 7 people. And while you're in a team, you cannot always be the one to get what you want. You have to learn how to negotiate, you have to learn how to understand, and you have to be equally accepting of everybody's idea. So whatever ideas are taken in, it works best for the team together. You don't have to force your own ideas down, but you understand it and you see what is necessary, and then whatever is necessary you work on it together. So it's important that you build that sense. It's important that you build empathy when it comes to mains. practice some materials and understand that every material has its own uniqueness. So if you are given a material for NID means, do it with that. If paper is given to you, paper is not a very strong material. It is said to be a flimsy material. But if you fold it in a certain way, it can be a very strong material. But if you are given cardboard instead, there is no point in showing that it's strong because it already is. So maybe you show something else with it. So if it's wire, regardless of if it's wire, clay, metal, paper, everything has its own special elements to it. So it's good if you understand it and if you show it to, and if you can express it properly through the models. And just do not worry about the exam. Just actually be very chill. Chill and see, if you're making a model, the model will probably look worse if you're stressed out and did it compared to if you're chill and you're doing it. So whenever you're doing the exam, it's only 3 hours, 4 hours. It might be 2 days this time. But while you're there, just keep your mind calm and then understand that this is something that you're prepared for, and try not to get discouraged by the work that the people around you do. When you're in mains or when you're in prelims, it's simple to look into somebody else's paper and be scared. It's like, oh, that person renders so much better than me. But then they might, but then maybe you know perspective more than them. Maybe your human drawings
Or
are,
maybe
and
your
even if,
concept or your
yeah,
idea is really
yeah,
great. But that
it's not
helps
really
us more.
about how good you are at something, but what I say this to everybody who asks me for advice on mains or prelims, just walk out of the exam being completely satisfied with what you've done. When you walk
Yes.
out, don't regret anything. Just be happy. Just say, okay, I did my best to my abilities. I might not be the best at rendering, but I did what I could and I am happy with what I did. And that is all you can do. So just relax, go write the exam well, do your best, and I actually think everybody can make it. Just put in all of your effort in there, do your best, understand the concepts, and you'll be good.
Keep calm and enjoy, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, just come and enjoy. It's
Okay, great, guys. So I think we are having some question also. So when will NIFT release result? So they haven't yet published the date of results, but we can at the expect the results at the mid of March. Usually in the last year also, the result was around mid of March. Specifically, there is no date. So which course are you guys pursuing design now? So I think that's a question to you. I think we have already mentioned that, but of course, we can just you can just mention that to guys, Neema.
Uh, Both of us are currently in our foundation year. I am in NID Assam and Karthik is in NID Ahmedabad. Foundation, it's a mix of everything. We don't have a specialization right now.
Okay. So I think no more questions now. So it's really interesting to hear from you guys because the things about the studio tests is not that much available. So each and
Yeah, they
every
don't.
point, yeah, yeah. So each and every point you have mentioned, like you have uh, tell us, is really important because the kind of different kind of patterns, the audio round, visual round, even the drawing, and most of the students might think like material handling will be the majority marks will maybe like that, but from your side for your year it was not like that, it was different, but it may be repeated, but there may be changes because NID is all about surprises. So but again, definitely with this video, of course, the students get an idea on what they can expected in the studio test. So you guys really explained it well. So thank you so much, guys. No, you are really busy in your studies, and even with that, you have joined this live session. So thank you, guys. Thank you so much, and thank you for this uh, wonderful session. And I think some few more questions are coming up also. Some topics for NID mains for B.Des model making. So can you guys also mention that too? Some topics for the model making.
learn some basic geometry because you can apply that to every model that you make. So
Hmm.
if it's paper, adding properties to the material. So giving strength to the paper is very important because that can be applied to any model that you're making. maybe making abstract shapes with paper. What kind of fold can hold it up? What can make it curvy? So make it as
You need to get your hands dirty and you need to understand. You need to get your hands dirty and you need to understand how to get familiar with it. So that's really important.
Okay, so rather than like more focused on the kind of model question, doing more on the different kind of materials will help them, right?
Yeah, also just like paper strengthening and all that, practice some basic mechanisms like moving mechanism, uh, something that makes sounds. We didn't
Mhm.
have that. Doesn't mean you guys will not have it. So just get. I was really bad at that. I didn't know how to figure out how something will move. But then if you do a few questions, you'll get a basic understanding of it. So maybe you can make something that's rotating, that's moving forward, something that floats, something that flies, something that makes sound. Understand the basics of all that.
Okay.
mechanisms in general is just rubber band. Just
Yeah.
figure out how to do rubber band and you
How
can
to
pull off a lot
twist
of
it,
things.
rubber
Yeah.
band. It's really simple actually. You'll get enough of that on the net.
Okay. So one question, do we really have to give an interview? So currently it's not there for the Bachelor of Design. It's for the masters. They are having the interview round. But similar to that, in previous years there was group discussion. I think already Karthik mentioned about the teamworks or team efforts. So definitely they can expect such kind of group discussion activities. It was not there for you, right, guys? The group discussion one.
No, no,
No, it
we
was
just
not
had
that.
a.
Uh, okay. So before
Also,
them, yeah,
I
yeah,
feel
please.
like it's always good to have your good communication skills. So even if it's not there for the exam, be prepared. How to
Okay.
interact with the person, or how to communicate your idea, and how to work well in a team. It's a very basic life skill. So get used to that also.
Yeah, great. So will there be any portfolio of NID Studio Test?
I think so.
So for
If
bachelors, yeah.
there is an interview, there will be a portfolio. That is the truth. And from what I know, I've talked to my seniors here. We have so the mains exam for the masters is going on right now. So I see those people on campus. I see them lining up to do their interview all the time here. So the thing is, they have not done 2 day mains exams in a while. So there is a chance that you have an interview. There is also a chance that you have a group project thing. So if you
2 days.
have an interview, you will need a portfolio because mostly what happens is you'll probably have to go through the portfolio regardless of if it's on your phone or iPad or
Mm,
whatever it is. They will also ask you questions based on your portfolio or based on what you tell them. So
yes.
do not lie on your interview, just be honest because they'll catch you and they'll make you do something.
Don't make up
But
stuff. Be honest.
just be very honest and
In whatever.
speak confidently, maintain
Yeah.
eye contact, do all of those things that are basic in not just preparation but in basic
Life.
communication that you should have throughout life.
Okay. So I think
It's
during
not
the,
just
yeah.
in the interview or the group discussion that you have to be honest. Even in simple answers, when they ask you for an opinion or how to find a solution, write or draw something that naturally you think is right. Don't don't be like what will the person who's correcting the answer sheet wants. Be genuine to yourself.
Oh, yeah, that's really great. Okay. So yeah. So and also the portfolio one, it was there on the COVID batch. The during the COVID time, since there
Yes.
was no means studio test, they have asked for the portfolio and there was interview also. But we cannot predict like anything can happen.
Go prepared for
Yeah,
everything.
yeah,
Don't
that
take
is the
risks.
main thing.
Make a portfolio. Be prepared for group discussion. Be prepared for interview. Everything.
Yeah, that is really the main thing what we can do right now. So thank you guys, thank you so much for your insight. So it was really wonderful and informative session. Hope uh, each one of the students will get what they want from this interaction session. So thank you so much for your time. And guys, for you, on the upcoming Sundays we are having an interactive workshop session. So for those who are interested, definitely will be a registration link and the link is there on the comment section. And thank you for watching. So thank you so much. Thank you, Neema, and thank you, Karthik, for joining. So good night, guys, and thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well,